Hello, everyone. It's a wonderful podcast. That was a double saying of the word "it's," and that is an appropriate start to another nonsense episode of the show. It's still Monster Movie May. It is the last episode in Monster Movie May on the show. I believe this is episode 58 of It's a Wonderful Podcast. However, this movie is not from 1958. It's a shame, Nolan, because the last two movies we've done have linked up to their episode numbers, and this one doesn't. Hello, how you doing?
If you had any more "it's" in that sentence, you'd need a clown.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But how's it going?
It's an appropriate joke.
Let's see, Glasgow. Let's look at the weather report for Glasgow.
Oh, nice. It's a Wonderful Podcast. Scottish weather report.
It's miserable, grey and rainy outside.
Do you know what? It's kind of that here too today. Although it's a bit nicer now than it was before, which is nice.
Yeah, yesterday wasn't too great walking back home from the theatre.
However, Nolan, it's a hell of a lot better day than the day that the New Yorkers had in the movie we are talking about today.
Of course. I mean, I don't want to see any lighthouses get destroyed.
No. Well, yeah, I say New Yorkers. What I really mean is the eastern seaboard. Or the northeastern seaboard of the USA. Today we are talking about another monster movie. We have done the giant insects, we have done the aliens, we have done the demons, and we're now on to the dinosaurs, Nolan.
We've come full circle. I mean, did we miss out any type of monsters?
A lot. I mean, we've missed out a lot.
We've had insects, demons,
we've covered
dinosaurs, and aliens.
We've covered the basics.
Yeah, that's fair.
For 4 episodes, we've covered the basics. Yes, today we are talking about the greatest movie title of all time, or at least this side of them. We are talking The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, which is such a glorious title.
You just love saying that, don't you?
I like saying the word fathom more than anything else.
You sound like a Shakespearean actor.
Oh, that's very nice of you to say.
Fathom.
I'm like Patrick Stewart mixed with Charles Dance, is what you're trying to say.
Ian McKellen,
or Ian McKellen, or
insert Shakespearean actor.
Ben Kingsley.
Mm-hmm. Sir Ben Kingsley.
Sir Ben Kingsley. We all like Ben Kingsley, and we all like all Shakespearean actors. Maybe not all of them. Laurence Olivier, he was a Shakespearean actor who we love, who is in our Moustache Hall of Fame. I don't believe there will be any additions to the Moustache Hall of Fame from The Beast with 20,000 Fathoms, though.
Yeah, sadly the Beast did not have a moustache.
No, that would have been good. I'd have liked that, to see a big dinosaur with a moustache. Love that.
The Tom Sellecosaurus.
Yeah. The Tom Sellecosaurus. Yeah, we need a t-shirt. We need a t-shirt with the Tom Sellecosaurus on, please. We just need a picture of the dinosaur from this movie with Tom Selleck's mustache, with a speech bubble, with a Tom Selleck quote in it, and then we're all
exactly
okay.
What we need.
That is exactly what we need. Order 5,000 of them now to be shipped all around the world and the country and wherever else. The moon. We'll send one to the moon for all the moon people. Do you think there are people living on the moon?
Maybe. I think there are some people who act like they're living on the moon.
Would that be me by any chance?
No, you're fairly down to earth. I'm talking about idiots on Twitter.
Well, idiots on Twitter are rampant. Nolan, they are as rampant as the Beast from 20,000 Fathoms.
I mean, in the past week alone, I've had hot takes about movies, people pretending to be woke allies, and everything in between.
Yeah. I am a fan of the of the hot takes on movies, because you can tell whenever anybody puts the words hot take before their tweet, they're an idiot.
It's quite funny because usually their hot takes aren't even that hot to begin with. It'll be like, hot take, I don't like this.
Ooh, so hot. Okay. So hot it's burning me, Nolan. Nolan, it's burning me.
On the Nando's menu, that's like past extra hot.
That's too spicy. Your takes are way too intense. I can't handle them. They're making me gasp for air.
I think the Redosaur would have been happy if we had just given him a cheeky Nando's.
I mean, possibly. Although I tend to get ill from that food. So
Morgan Robinson, not a fan of the Nando's?
No, not really. Not really, kind of at all. But that is a conversation for another time. Nolan, what did you make of this movie, 1953?
Well, 20,000 I love how when I came to you with this idea, we thought, should we do Godzilla? And we didn't. And now we're ending with the movie that predates Godzilla, and that would inspire almost every monster movie going forward. These are the kind of movies that I love talking about, because you think like the origin of slashers with things like Peeping Tom and Psycho, the origin of ghost stories, like way back in like the 30s and stuff.
Oh yeah. Before then.
Even before then, yeah. And this feels like sort of the start of the big dinosaur rampaging through a city type movie that we would get with Gojira.
I mean, yes, you get some sort of dinosaur monster movies. I'm thinking of like The Lost World, I think from 1920 or 21, 22 around
the one
then.
That's not this disappointing Jurassic Park sequel.
Not that, not Jurassic Park 2, The Lost World, or whatever its stupid title is.
That movie's really bad.
I think I only saw Jurassic Park 2 or The Lost World once. I think I only saw it once.
It's worse
isn't
than
Vince
Jurassic
Vaughn in it?
It's worse than Jurassic World.
As far as dinosaur movies go, Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, I'm all about, though.
We're going to have a dinosaur movie of Beast from 20,000 Fathoms versus Jurassic Park.
I mean, it's going to have to be Jurassic Park. But
Beast from 20,000 Fathoms is great on its own terms, in terms of monster movies. I don't know if you can call Jurassic Park a monster movie.
I mean, it kind of is.
Not in the same way that these are.
No, but isn't the T-Rex a monster? Doesn't the T-Rex offer the same type of...
Does he? The T-Rex in Jurassic Park's kind of the hero. The raptors are the monsters.
Oh, well, yeah. Still, it's still monsters. But the T-Rex is scary, with the whole water shaking in the glass and the tipping up the car and all that business. That's pretty monstrous.
I'd rather take my chances with the T-Rex than velociraptors. Those things are vicious.
Look, I'd rather not come into contact with either of them, to be fair, because I'm dead either way. I'm also dead if I come into contact with the Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. Do we actually get a name for this type of dinosaur?
We do. It's the Redosaurus, which I had to look up the spelling because I assumed that meant, is he just a red dinosaur? Like that Clifford the Big Red Dog. We've got Fathom the Big Red Dinosaur.
That is a monster right there. Clifford the Big Red Dog. He could trample down cities. He's a pretty big dog.
Do our American audience know what that is? Because wasn't that a British cartoon?
I believe it is an American cartoon, actually. So
there we go.
I believe it is both sides of the Atlantic.
Basically, homeowners, don't feed your pets like nuclear waste because they'll grow to the size of like mountains. Yeah,
and look, we've talked about the idea of these monster movies playing on, having a moral of be careful with all this atomic testing and all this new scientific technology that was happening in the US mainly in the 50s. With them was very similar in that sense. It was the giant ants were mutated that way because of the atomic testing. But in this movie, it's kind of similar to Godzilla, really. But
yeah,
it's the atomic testing that wakes up the monster.
Isn't that kind of the same as Godzilla?
Yeah, it is. Although Godzilla, I believe, was frozen in ice.
Oh, yeah, because the bomb in this one just thawed the monster out.
Yeah.
In Godzilla, the radiation actually awakes it.
Yeah, from under the water, which is where Godzilla comes from. But yeah, the beast here comes from the North Pole, the Arctic area. There's a group of scientists. I really like how the movie opens with that, the narration, the really sort of...
We love narration openings on this show, clearly.
The really obvious, simple, narration of, this is what's happening. It's very, very... it feels right. It feels like it just belongs. I feel like I knew exactly what sort of movie it was from this. There are a group of scientists, and they are studying paleontology. There's a lot of paleontology in the movie, which I appreciate, because I was always a fan of dinosaurs as a kid. Mm-hmm. Still am, to a point.
You were dinosaurs, I was sharks.
Yeah, probably. Like some people, they love, some kids, they love, trains or whatever it is.
That's just Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory.
Well, whatever it is, like some people are obsessed with trains or with boats or with planes or with
RC
whatever
cars,
it could be anything. Yeah, cars. I was always dinosaurs as a child. So I always do like Jurassic Park. That's why I've probably watched Jurassic Park 3 more times than most people.
Before we get into this, I'll say I think Jurassic Park 3 is slightly underrated.
Do you know what? So do I.
Minus the whole talking
Jurassic
raptor
Park
thing,
3.
The Pteranodon scene and the Spinosaurus are fucking dope.
I like Jurassic Park 3. It's kind of great. But yeah, aside from that, I just like going... I liked going back to watching an older dinosaur movie with this one, to see where that... Like you said, it really came into... It was really the first major dinosaur monster movie. Because, of course, the monster movie boom was in the 50s with this, or at least the sci-fi monster movie boom. And this was kind of the first, like you said, it predates Godzilla or Gojira from Japan by a year. 1953, this one. And, I just like how it is also the moral of, be careful with atomic testing and the radiation, and this is what might happen. You might destroy the whole city. It's a bit bigger scale than them because it destroys a lot more.
Should we just blame Madame Curie for all these monsters getting released? Because she discovered radiation, didn't she?
Look, I don't know enough about science. Didn't Marie Curie discover something? Was it radiation? No, it wouldn't have been radiation. I don't know science. I don't know science.
I'm sure it was radon, but I'm sure there's some scientist in the comments now typing away what it really was.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of hate from the science lovers. Sorry, Brandon.
Or the Scientologists, but we get hate from them anyway.
Probably do. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with this one. I don't think it's my favourite one we've done of the month, but I definitely had a lot of fun with it. It felt a little more kind of played for entertainment rather than something like Body Snatchers or even Night of the Demon last week, which was very sort of tense. And
but for that, it is an easier watch than those two.
Oh yeah, that's true. It is very, very easy to watch. I like how the hero of the day is actually a roller coaster.
I mean, I knew you were going to like the fact that it ends in an amusement park.
How could I not love the fact that it ends in an amusement park? The only reason the beast is destroyed, because of course the beast is destroyed, it has to be destroyed, that's not even a spoiler, is because of a roller coaster. Yay for roller coasters saving the day, even though it sacrificed itself. Nolan, the roller coaster sacrificed itself by...
The roller coasters can be rebuilt, it's okay.
Well, yes, but it looked like a really good roller coaster.
It was a miniature.
It was, that's true.
You couldn't ride in that roller coaster. Unless you were Ant-Man.
I've got a secret to tell you.
Oh, I see.
My real name is Scott Lang, I am Ant-Man. But yeah, I liked that. I like how the poor, unfortunate roller coaster burned down, but in doing so helped the population destroy the beast from 20,000 fathoms.
You just love saying that, don't you?
I do. You're gonna get sick of me saying the title of the movie.
No, I'm not. I'm actually. It's kind of ASMR-y. It kind of relaxes me.
Okay, I like that.
The beast from 20,000 fathoms.
So yeah, we could do that. We could just make ASMR content, just saying the titles of the movies over and over and over again. It'd work. I think it'd work. I think it'd be very, very successful.
This movie has two things in it that I love from behind the scenes.
Is one of them, by any chance, Ray Harryhausen?
He's one of them, and also based off a short story by Ray Bradbury.
Oh, okay.
One of the best sci-fi writers of his day.
Yeah.
I've read a fair amount of his work, and I was quite surprised that something he wrote translated into something as easily watchable as this. Granted, his short story is kind of just up to the lighthouse moment, which of course is one of the biggest moments of this movie, I'd say, where you have Mr. Rhedosaurus destroying a lighthouse, which is very intense, very well shot. I loved seeing the monster more in the shadows than when you actually see the monster in full form. It looked scarier. Yeah,
I mean, I liked the way it looked in the Arctic, in the ice at the beginning of the movie. Mm-hmm. I liked the way the way the monster looked throughout the movie. I thought the design's really good, and obviously the effects, beautiful stop motion, because it's Harryhausen, and that's just what happens when you put Harryhausen involved. When you get Harryhausen involved,
that's just how Harryhausen does.
But yeah, that is probably the lighthouse thing. Is probably the kind of scariest scene, because the lighthouse keeper is very, very terrified by the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. His livelihood has been destroyed. I've always wondered what it would be like to live in a lighthouse.
Seems kind of cool, right?
Very peaceful, I would say.
Yeah. You can be, who knows, you may end up being the father of Aquaman one day if you live in a lighthouse.
True.
Or a Scooby-Doo villain.
I'd rather go with father of Aquaman.
Also not a bad life, though, to be a Scooby-Doo villain.
I don't really fit into rubber costumes anymore.
Unless you end up not being the Scooby-Doo villain, but instead being the first person the Scooby-Doo villain kills on his quest out of the water.
What we're saying is lighthouses are cool.
Yeah, I do kind of like lighthouses. I like the idea of edge of the world. On the edge of the world is a lighthouse. The edge of the known world is a lighthouse. Very same in Game of Thrones, where the big question is, what's west of Westeros? Well, there's actually a little island called the Lonely Light, where
there's a lighthouse.
Which is, I mean, is it a light? I mean, it's not a lighthouse. I suppose it's not big enough to be a lighthouse. It's basically a rock, but there is people that live there. It's part of technically it's part of the Iron Islands, but it is it's very, very west, and it's called the Lonely Light, and it's at the edge of the world, and it's, I guess, not a lighthouse, but I just wanted to say that. because I like the world of the Game of Thrones stuff, and also lighthouses, which is at the edge of the world, and I'm going to keep saying edge of the world because it fascinates me.
You're enjoying yourself so much, I can tell.
I am enjoying myself. Does that not fascinate you, though? Does the idea of, like, before people knew the extent of the world, right? What is the last thing you see? You see a lighthouse. Who's just out there on his island, all alone, guiding ships that are coming from far-off mystical lands, trading all sorts of weird stuff that nobody has ever seen before, like the banana or something. Or, bringing some weird unknown thing from South America to the shores of Cornwall.
You sound like an Uncharted game.
I know, right? The lighthouse guides them in, and it's there on its rock. And without the lighthouse, nothing is known, because the ships fall prey to the rocks and the harsh conditions of the ocean. End of story. That's the end of my little story there.
I want you to write a short story about a lighthouse now.
Should do. Pretty sure there probably is many, many, many of them. But, don't know where that came from. That was a bit of... it's popped into my mind. You know how I like to go on trains of nonsense thought sometimes. But yes, go on a bit more about sort of... maybe about Ray Bradbury, because I know you said this was based on what he did. What do you make of...
I haven't read the story that this was based off of, but I'm a fan of his work. He's one of the most highly sought after sci-fi writers.
Yeah.
He even one of his books inspired a Deadmau5 song, which I really like.
Okay, that's weird.
And I probably sent you it. It's The Veldt. It's really cool.
Well, I don't know what that is. That's music that I don't know, because in my heart I'm old.
I know. But that song would honestly relax you. Anyway, what I know about the story is that the lighthouse is kind of like the major part of it, and everything else that we see going on from this movie is just following. So we have it attacking cities, and we should talk about Ray Harryhausen.
Yeah.
My God, the stop motion animation. I do not envy that man at all, but he is a goddamn genius.
Yeah. What more can possibly be said about Ray Harryhausen that hasn't been said 3,000 gazillion times before on many, many other, or from the lips of many, many other people.
20,000 fathoms ago, there was Ray Harryhausen.
I'm not quite sure the unit of measurement links up well there, but your point is valid, Nolan. This is the second Harryhausen movie we've done on the show.
What was our last one?
Well, very early on, if you remember,
Jason and the Argonauts.
Jason and the Argonauts.
Yeah, it's a similar kind of thing. Ray Harryhausen loves his stop motion.
He does. He's what he's known for. He's the he's one of the greats of special effects in the movies. Without him, you wouldn't have a lot of iconic monsters, and without stop motion, you certainly wouldn't have a lot of iconic movie monsters. This the dinosaur from this movie being just one of them, and you expect it when you see Ray Harryhausen's name in the opening credits. You know the kind of special effects you're getting, and you know that it's gonna look so good and so just charming, and just have that bit of movie magic about it, that it doesn't have to look overly real. And who cares? It's there. It is a model that a man has placed, just millimetre by millimetre, excruciating detail, just frame by frame. There. The time it has taken, you can see. With stop motion, you can see the time and effort and love that has gone into making the movie, and of course all the scenes in New York when the Beast is tearing down certain buildings or rampaging through the streets will all be a miniature model, and that's just Harryhausen there, just moving his little model frame by frame, so detailed, and the dedication just shows. It always just shows for me. It screams out from the screen. Whenever I watch any Harryhausen.
I would love video essayists to stop doing special effects things about current artists and look back at stuff like Ray Harryhausen.
Well, you have to. You have to, in order to get and you know, I'm not the biggest sort of special effects guy, right? I'm not someone who'll go, oh yeah, I don't love special effects like a lot of people do. When it comes to movies, I know that some people get really into who's behind the special effects and what sort of, especially when it comes to practical, you know, what sort of blood pellet have they used in that person's neck that they've, you know, done, or whatever it may be. And even with CG, people get really into it and how to create, you know, supposedly more realistic effects using all the CG. But you have to know your basic history of any aspect of movie making if you really want that sort of knowledge. And you have to know Harryhausen, you have to know like Rick Baker, who did American Werewolf in London, and that transformation that some stupid people will say looks silly now, it looks cheap, it looks nasty, but I'm sorry, it doesn't. It looks like someone's taken time to do that, and it looks real, and it's there. It's why I always go practical over CG, because you can say whatever you want about the quality of the way it looks, it was there on the day it was shot.
Mm-hmm.
That dinosaur was there. It was being filmed. You didn't film a blank space and then fill it all in later. It was there. You had to do it then.
Welcome to Morgan's rants on special effects.
You just get it so often, though, that people
take CG for granted now, though.
People take CG for granted. People also don't. I don't think they realise, like, sets exist, movie sets, and stuff like that. You know, when it is so easy to, I say easy, when it is the norm to create any special effects with CG, and you can create whole cities and whole environments and big explosions and, you know, even anything. I mean, and some CG, of course, is phenomenal. Look at the stuff that they did with like Thanos and Hulk in the MCU and stuff. It's incredible, right? And that does look realistic. It certainly doesn't look real because it wasn't there on the day it was shot.
I know what you mean. I'm also a big fan of practical effects over CG, but I also understand CG's place.
Yeah, of course, but what would look real, there's a difference between realistic and real. What would look real is if Josh Brolin was in a purple suit with eye holes and he was just playing Thanos. That would look real, because that would be what was being filmed, rather than the realistic look of what actual Thanos is and what actual, you know, dinosaurs are on screen now, as opposed to this movie, which doesn't look as realistic or as smooth or anything like that as anything in, you know, the Jurassic World or whatever it is.
I would say the monster in this feels more like a monster than in the original Godzilla, because I can always tell that's a guy in a suit.
Yeah, that's Harryhausen, though. That is Harryhausen always using his models and the stop motion stuff, because Godzilla obviously isn't stop motion.
No, it's just a guy in a rubber suit.
As great as Godzilla is, and as poignant as a film as the original Godzilla is, as well as being a fun monster movie. Way more poignant than Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, but you still get the same idea. Godzilla just holds that place because it's Japanese rather than American, and
it's all around like Hiroshima and that kind of thing.
It means more, or it frightens, or it frightened Japanese culture more at that time than it obviously frightened American culture. What the American movies were saying, as we have spoke about on, in this whole little month before, is what the American movies were saying was, hold on, this might end up bad, all this testing. And this movie is just another one that says that. It just happens to be a very early one that says that. And that's why it's so important, and that's why it's so kind of revered, and it's why we wanted to do it for the show.
But the way this monster moves, it feels sort of like a monster, if you know what I mean.
Please explain.
The sort of slow, jerky almost movement it's something I prefer in monster movies. It's why I will always say the original Jaws over fucking CGI sharks now, which move too fucking fast.
Yeah.
Like the shark in Jaws has that kind of jerky, slow movement that I think an animal would have. Whereas in CGI shark movies, it's like the shark moves at the fucking speed of light.
Like King Kong as well.
Yeah, original King Kong. Even in the Peter Jackson King Kong and somewhat in Kong Skull Island, he does move like a regular animal would. There's a lot of detail in those.
Yeah, there is, but if you're looking at iconic stop motion monsters, you'd struggle to get better than King Kong.
King Kong's definitely one of the best.
And obviously King Kong comes 20 years before this movie. So it's really, really impressive.
It seems to me that Legendary sort of setting up like a monster cinematic universe. I wonder if they could get the Beast from 20,000 Fathoms in there somehow.
I mean, it's a Warner Brothers movie, this. So, yeah, I guess Legendary is sort of paired with Warner, isn't it?
Yeah, this is all Warner.
Make it happen. Put the Beast from 20,000 Fathoms in there.
I mean, we've had Ghidorah, Rodan, and Mothra. You can bring in Redosaurus.
Had Kong and Godzilla. You're bringing them all. Get them all involved.
Just leave Mecha Godzilla out of it.
You know what? I'm fairly confident this new monster movie universe will not include Mecha Godzilla. I'm fairly
Mecha Godzilla is the most Americanized monster I've ever heard of. It literally sounds like a bunch of guys got high around a table and was like, what if Godzilla was a robot?
Do you know what, Nolan? They probably did. Although, I believe it still did originate in Japan.
No, that does make sense, to be fair.
And Japanese, of course, love technology. So
Mecha Godzilla is way too Power Rangers-y for me. Like, leave that to Pacific Rim or something.
It is kind of very Power Rangers-y. I like that a lot. But please stop me from... I will finish my rants on special effects and telling everybody to just go and appreciate Ray Harryhausen. Please tell us about this movie, some of your favourite stuff in here.
My favourite stuff is pretty much any scene with the monster. I mean, the stuff with the humans is fine. But, when you're seeing, like, the screaming crowds and the monster just moving around the eastern seaboard, as you would call it, it's just frightening to look at. Like, it almost feels kind of nightmarish in a way. Like, you never imagine this thing is going to happen, but if it does, you are fucked. And there's even that scene of the Redosaurus eating the guy on the ground. It looks a little weird now, but you can imagine back in the 50s it looked great.
Of course. And that's the same with anything. I am not saying that the stop motion stuff looks better than the CGI stuff. I'm just saying I like it more because I can tell it's been made by a human being. That's why I like it.
And I love the design of the monster here. It's just such a cool design.
I do want to bring up some of the humans, though, as you say.
Let's talk about the humans.
Well, just some of the actors that are in the movie, because Cecil Kellaway, or Cecil Kellaway, however you pronounce that name.
That is a cool name.
Plays the professor.
Of course he does.
The paleontology professor. He was in Guess Who's Coming to Dinner.
Ah, there we go. We're getting some more fucking...
linkages.
Yeah.
And I really like him.
Some 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon shit.
Yeah, and he was also in the Jimmy Stewart movie Harvey, about the imaginary 6-foot-tall rabbit. You know that movie?
That sounds an awful lot like Donnie Darko.
I mean, it kind of is. Kind of is. You should watch Harvey if you haven't seen Harvey. People should go and watch Harvey with Jimmy Stewart. It's really charming. It's actually got one of my favourite delivered lines in any movie ever.
Mm-hmm.
Which is when obviously it's an incredibly sort of old, snooty, upper class woman, and they're hosting. I think Jimmy Stewart's auntie is hosting a party, and they're all kind of really ashamed. They all love Jimmy Stewart's character, but they're all kind of really ashamed that he has this big imaginary friend who's a 6-foot-tall rabbit.
Yeah.
It's really weird, but it's great. And
that's not at all like Donnie Darko.
No, she comes in, this particular guest, and she believes someone she has seen is dead. Like, it's kind of like, ooh, I thought she was dead, kind of a thing. When she's looking around the guests at the party, I do not do that line justice because it's delivered perfectly, and I just think everybody should go and see Harvey. Is all.
Well, I do have another linkage here.
But he is also in it. Probably the same linkage I have.
Is it about the dinosaur skeleton?
No, it isn't about the dinosaur skeleton. It's actually about Lee Van Cleef, who is in this movie as well.
Well, the dinosaur skeleton was actually constructed for a movie we've covered, Bringing Up Baby.
Was it? Is it the same skeleton?
It's the same skeleton.
Oh, I love that. It's the same skeleton from the best movie of all time, Bringing Up Baby.
And other monster movies such as Cloverfield.
Cloverfield
actually used a frame from Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, allegedly.
Madness.
I haven't watched Cloverfield in a long time, so...
Cloverfield, good modern monster movie. Good modern monster movie, Nolan. Monster movies do not just exist in the 50s or the 30s and in the current Kong, Godzilla, Legendary Pictures universe, whatever it's actually called. What is it called?
The Legendary Verse, I don't know.
Legendary, that's a terrible name.
Or the Monster Verse, I'm not sure. I don't know, I'm just taking each movie as it comes.
Yeah, it's probably for the best. But yeah, Lee Van Cleef is in this movie as well. Very young Lee Van Cleef, who of course everyone knows from Good, the Bad and the Ugly, and also Escape from New York.
There we go.
And we all like Lee Van Cleef.
There definitely had to be an Escape from New York with this guy.
Oh, they did. Yeah. To be a serious escape from New York. And like I said before, the roller coaster saves the day.
Yeah, we see that you have to, like... It was kind of an interesting way of beating the monster, because I've never seen something like this before. Well, I have. I mean, like, Jaws kind of did it with the shark as well, but they shoot a bazooka into its throat, and they're thinking, okay, if we get the radiation inside it, then that's gonna burn it up from the inside without releasing the pathogen or whatever.
Yeah, I would imagine it's probably where, the Jaws got it from, in the book, at least, maybe.
Well, in the book, the death of the shark in Jaws is quite tame compared to what happened in the movie.
So, potentially it's probably where the movie got it from them.
Yeah, in the book for Jaws, it just dies from all the wounds and like sinks to the bottom of the ocean. Spielberg just wanted a more climactic ending, so they gave the whole shark blowing up thing.
Yeah, I prefer that, and I like it in this movie as well. That method is successful in taking down many, many monsters in the movies, Nolan, and
find the kryptonite and shoot a thing at it. That was even in a show that I used to watch as a kid. I don't know if you ever heard of Monster Warriors.
No, what is the Monster Warriors?
Imagine teen Ghostbusters fighting giant monsters around a city because they've been released by this B-movie director who's bringing his monsters to life.
It sounds very cool. I like it.
You get like giant bumblebees, giant lobsters, giant dragons.
I'm into that.
That's what got me into like big movie monsters at the beginning.
I am into that.
If you can find it, good luck, because I cannot find it anywhere. And it is cheesy as fuck.
Well, are you? I have to ask this. Are you glad that we have discovered some more monster movies in this past month?
Definitely, I am glad that we didn't just go for the obvious ones.
Yeah. What has been your favourite of the four? Unless you want to count Black Lagoon in there that we did.
Even if I did count Black Lagoon, it wouldn't be my favourite.
Okay.
I say it's a toss-up between them and Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Okay. You can't look past Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Nah, it's such a smart movie.
Good. So clever. And yeah, this, we may have finished the month now on this sort of more. It's almost a popcorn movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of pure entertainment. Yes, it has the.
Which is fitting, considering that's also what Godzilla King of the Monsters is.
Yeah, and we'll get onto that because you have seen Godzilla King of the Monsters, and we will get your thoughts on that a little bit. But yeah, I like that we've finished on an easy movie.
Yeah, if we'd finished on Night of the Demon, this might have been a kind of dour conversation.
Well, Night of the Demon was just so good, though. Night of the Demon is definitely my favourite of the ones we've done.
Of course it is.
But it's the most horror. It's the most pure horror. And as much as I loved Body Snatchers and perfectly enjoyed this movie and them, I actually think I prefer this to them. I prefer Beast from 20,000 Fathoms to them. I don't know why. Maybe it's because them was on much more of a small scale.
Possible, yeah. But I mean, there wasn't a movie that I flat out disliked this month.
No, absolutely not. And that's always good. No, that is always good when we do not dislike the movies.
It wasn't like Western month where you liked pretty much everything and I disliked most of them.
You're just not about Westerns at all.
No.
A
Western monster movie, though. Could you imagine that?
There probably is one somewhere.
Attack of the Giant Donkeys or Horses or something.
Attack of the Giant Donkeys is a movie I need to see right now. And naturally, we get Eddie Murphy to voice all of them.
The hero Shrek.
Absolutely perfect. Let's make Attack of the Giant Donkeys happen. That's the next movie. That's the next monster that Godzilla needs to fight, Nolan. Screw King Kong in Godzilla versus Kong or whatever.
You can screw King Kong. I don't think I'm up to that challenge.
Well, you know what I mean. Get the giant donkeys involved. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of monsters that are like variants. I don't see why you can't get donkeys. I mean, we've had the fucking Blob. You can do anything from that.
Hey, the Blob's a great movie. I nearly picked the Blob for us to do actually.
I almost picked the original Thing.
Oh, the Thing from Another World. You mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, 1951. See, that's even earlier.
I did almost also pick the old Fly, but we disagreed on that.
Look, as much as I would have adored to do another Price movie,
The Fly is not good.
It's not a great Price movie, and Price is obviously good because he always is. But then he's covered with a big fly head for the majority of the movie.
And it is kind of funny how he says he has the murderous brain of a fly. Like, are flies murderous?
Yeah, very, very murderous.
They're just annoying.
I mean, they are very annoying, very murderous. Flies will murder. Flies will murder the happiness of a human being.
That's true.
Because they annoy you too much and therefore quell any happiness in oneself.
So your favourite was Night of the Demon. I'd say my favourite is probably Body Snatchers.
And that is perfect. That is what we like to do on this show. We like to discover we like to discover new old movies.
Because it's funny how the one I picked was your favourite and the one you picked was mine.
Well, I think that just shows how well we know each other, Nolan.
That's true. Raoul was right. We do have good chemistry on this show.
I like to think we do.
We do. Trust me.
And I like. Clearly, we know each other very, very well. Clearly, we rub each off on each other a lot. Because you know what I mean. I misspoke. Clearly, we rub off on each other a lot because I picked a movie you like, and you picked a movie that I liked the most, and that's great. I'm assuming
our pick next week is going to be something Doris Day related.
Yes, because I did say that, didn't we? Before we get on to that, and also your little review, if you want to call it that, of Godzilla King of the Monsters, is there anything else you want to say about Beast from 20,000 Fathoms? I feel like the majority of the conversation has simply just been Ray Harryhausen based.
Well, about Beast from, if you're looking to get into like old monster movies, I'd say this is a great one to start with.
It's
an easy watch. For sure. It's fun. Great monster design. You got Ray Harryhausen behind it. It might be an easier watch than something like Godzilla because of all the stuff going on behind that. They might get turned off if they think like all monster movies take themselves too seriously. This is one that's I think is a really good starting off point. That's not the obvious.
Yeah, and I mean also with Godzilla, and it has to be said, it's also obviously a Japanese movie, and it takes effort to read subtitles. It does. As much as
not for us, but
but it does, which is obviously why any movie in a language that you immediately understand is going to be much easier to watch, regardless of the quality of the movie.
Yep, and you get and it might make you want to become a lighthouse keeper. Actually, no, it probably wouldn't.
Well, it made me want to become a lighthouse keeper, even though
and then have
they
it destroyed by a giant monster. No, I don't want that.
No, I didn't say that. I want to be a Scooby-Doo villain. I thought we'd already determined that.
That's fair. That's totally fair.
Yeah. I don't think I have anything else left to say about this movie. I really like this movie. I really like that we ended the month on something fun when we've had... we sort of started the month on something a bit more fun as well, but like I said, I think this
was pure fun. I
preferred to them.
This was like caramel popcorn, shovel in your face kind of fun.
Yeah. Then in the middle, we obviously had the two slightly darker, slightly more layered, and
paired with a glass of wine. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, slightly more intense and slightly cleverer movies.
I get it.
In the middle, but Nolan, the reason we did Monster Movie May in the first place was because of the release of Godzilla King of the Monsters, which is now out for the public to view. I haven't seen it yet. You have, and you're going to tell us what you think about it.
I really enjoyed it. I'm disagreeing with a lot of the critic stuff, like how they say the humans are boring. I found the humans in this to be way more engaging than in the 2014 one.
Okay.
But maybe that's because they're played by actors that I like more.
Okay. Okay, that's
the
fair.
monster stuff is great. I never thought a movie would make me like Mothra, but it did.
I mean, how are all the monsters?
I said this yesterday. If King Ghidorah does not become the movie sex icon of 2019, we failed.
I thought that was already Professor Hulk.
I mean, Ghidorah has 3 heads. Professor Hulk has 1.
Professor Hulk does have 1 head. I didn't realise that quantity of heads made one a sex icon.
Anyway, I kind of went into this movie just wanting to see some King Ghidorah action, and my god, it is spectacular.
The fights are good.
Oh, the fights are something else.
Good.
The score is also great. And I didn't know much about Rodan, but Rodan was kind of frightening.
Frightening?
Yeah. I mean, just...
Did you see it on the biggest screen possible?
Indeed.
Good.
And it's glorious. And also, can I give some movie Twitter etiquette advice?
Of course you can.
If you don't care what the critics are saying, why the fuck are you looking at Rotten Tomatoes scores? You fucking hypocrites.
Look, I don't know. I don't even know what people are saying about Godzilla, to be honest with you. From what I can gather, people kind of like it. People think it's really fun, and
I think you'll really like it.
Great monster movie. I will probably go and see it. I've been kind of wanting to see it.
I liked it more than 2014 Godzilla and Skull Island.
Okay, that's good. That's good. And yeah, I guess we just have to wait for Kong versus Godzilla now.
Yes, from the guy who did The Guest.
From the guy who did The Guest.
I forget his name.
So do I.
But the guy who did this, he also did one of your favourite movies, Krampus, and Trick or Treat.
Oh, is it Mike Doherty?
Mike Doherty. The dude really understands what makes monsters cool.
Yeah, he does. And I like that. Look, I like the monster in Krampus for sure. I think that's great. I like that. I like that.
How big a King Ghidorah fan are you?
I mean, admittedly, not as big a Ghidorah fan as Mothra.
Just because he's a moth.
Just because he's a moth, and I think
Mothra's
that's
a girl
stupid.
In this one.
Oh yeah, just because it's stupid that a moth is such a huge monster, and that's ultimately what I like about monsters, about monster movies. Nolan, is that they can be stupid, they can be brain turn-offs sometimes. Much like this movie, Beast from 20,000 Fathoms.
You will enjoy Tywin Lannister in this movie.
Ah, Charles Dance, yes, of course he is in the movie, isn't he?
He plays exactly the kind of character you think he's going to play.
Yes, Charles Dance is great.
And,
I love him.
Not that this is really going to help much, but I hope Millie Bobby Brown gets more work after this, because, I mean, she's kind of proving herself. I said when I saw Stranger Things, watch out for this girl, she's going to do great stuff, and I could see her becoming like the next Dakota Fanning.
What's Dakota Fanning done in the last 5 years?
She's in Tarantino's movie.
Dakota Fanning is?
Yeah, she's one of the Manson family.
Oh.
And she did a lot of TV, but I remember like Dakota Fanning being a really huge teen actress.
Yeah.
I have a feeling Millie Bobby Brown's going to go the same way.
Well, I don't doubt that at all. I'm sure she will, to be, cast in big movies already.
It's only a matter of time before we see her showing up in stories about teens getting cancer.
Oh God, that's a bit... Where did that go? That went dark all of a sudden.
That happens to a lot of teen actors that get big. They end up in the teen drama movie.
Is that not just to potentially get some awards?
Maybe, but
I think that's probably the case, isn't it?
But she's really good in it. It's kind of fun watching just like one of the main characters being a kid who just loves monsters. That's like the audience representation. Yeah,
I like that. Wonderful. I like that you liked that movie so much.
Vera Farmiga and Kyle Chandler, they did a pretty good job, but you expect that from them.
You do, but it is all centered around those monsters and Godzilla in general.
I want to see more GODZILLA, please.
You're very into GODZILLA. You want the GODZILLA solo movie?
Yep. I mean, how can you not be? It's a 3-headed dragon that shoots lightning. That sounds fucking awesome.
I mean, the dragon does have 3 heads.
Well, is it a dragon or a hydra? I'm not sure because it does regrow its heads.
I don't know. Does a hydra doesn't just have 3 heads though. A hydra has several heads. There's a hydra in Jason and the Argonauts, Nolan. And Jason and the Argonauts was the other Ray Harryhausen movie we covered. Linkages! We can always bring it back full circle.
And when are you seeing Godzilla?
I don't know, but I probably will soon.
When you can be bothered to go into town.
Yes. Pretty much. Yeah, thank you for gracing the show with your thoughts on Godzilla, King of the Monsters. It is the reason that we did Monster Movie May in general. It will be finishing, obviously, after this episode. And we'll be back to regular movies, Nolan. Regular anything movies. And like we said, was it last week or the week before? We wanted to do a Doris Day movie.
Mm-hmm. We did.
To commemorate her recent passing. And hell, why not just go for kind of the most obvious one? We'll do pillow talk next week.
Well, you know I'm into some pillow talk. I'm always here with pillows.
He says, looking at a pillow.
It was literally looking at a pillow.
Doris Day, Rock Hudson, I believe. I have never seen that movie. Have you?
Nope.
Perfect, then. It is another one for us to discover on It's a Wonderful Podcast, and that's why we do the show, Nolan. We love discovering the new old movies, which does make sense if you think about it. If you think about the grammar. Grammar is important in life.
Grammar.
Also in grammar is what you've just said.
I know that's a weird take because I'm a writer, but I hate grammar snobs.
Let's just go back to that. The writer here is saying, the fictional writer here is saying grammar. Now, does that bode well for his style and quality of
Trust
writing?
me, I've done proper grammar checks on my thing. I just hate that people will always look past what a story is trying to say and just be like, grammar.
Oh yeah, we get that's a fair point. That is a
and it doesn't really count
point.
for like different pronouns as well, which I think needs to be addressed. But that's another discussion.
It is another discussion. We can have a whole grammar discussion if you want, but I don't think now's the time to do that. I just think now is the time to say anything else you want to say to wrap up Monster Movie May. It's been a hell of a lot of fun. We have Doris Day's Pillow Talk next week coming at you. We've heard what Nolan thought about Godzilla, King of the Monsters, and we really enjoyed Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, even though we both admittedly thought it was a fairly simple, popcorny movie. But that's okay sometimes, Nolan, because it's okay to just have fun at the movies sometimes. Not every movie has to be Schindler's List.
No.
If every movie was Schindler's List, few people would go to the movies because it would be way too sad.
Yes, and I don't have anything else to plug, so as always, find me at NolanDean27 on Twitter, Nolan Dean on YouTube. I've got some interviews coming up with other writers and trying to write more video essays now that school's out of the way.
Wonderful.
And I need me that Patreon cash soon. And I will also be working a Westlife gig all week next week.
I don't actually want to hear anything about that. That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Hey, 15 hours of pay and listening to Westlife for free, that's That's all right. I can deal with that.
Westlife made the money off the talents of other people, Nolan. So, just going to finish that there. Guys, you can check me out on the other show on this feed as well. It's called Morgan Hasn't Seen, where I, Morgan, haven't seen things. And my co-host, Janine, forces me to see things, and it's great. We have just finished our Keanu Reeves run with Point Break is the movie we covered this past week, because I hadn't seen Point Break. Now I have. We talked about it with our usual nonsense. You can find me being nonsense on both shows on this podcast feed, Nolan. I don't know if you were aware of that. I like nonsense.
I can tell. Point Break is really good, though.
It is. It is very good. And the next series we are doing on Morgan Hasn't Seen will be Men in Black.
Oh my god, you are going to have a field day with those.
Or basically a sort of Men in Black with a bonus Will Smith movie at the end of the series. As long as it's not
After Earth, then I'm good with it.
I believe Janine will be setting up some sort of poll, and who knows if After Earth will be on that poll or not.
Let's hope it's not, because that movie sucks.
Well, I haven't seen it. So basically anything's fair game if I haven't seen it, Nolan. That's the way that show works. And guys, I think that's about it for Monster Movie May. It's been fun. I've had a lot of fun. Stay tuned next week for Pillow Talk. It's going to be a hell of a bit of difference from what we've been talking about recently, but it's going to be great nonetheless. Find me on Twitter at the Purple Don with a 3 instead of the E in the, because 3 is the magic number. On Instagram at just the Purple Don. Find the show on Twitter at It's a Wonderful One, and on all the podcast providers. That's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, Castbox, Google Podcasts, Overcast, and wherever else you want to find your podcast. Download the show on whatever podcast provider you use, and go on over to the Apple Podcasts and leave a nice 5-star rate and review if you like It's a Wonderful Podcast, if you like Morgan Hasn't Seen, if you like both shows. Tell us, because we really appreciate it when people tell us that. It means a lot, and it's great. And it also helps us out if you do leave those nice ratings and reviews. And we want to keep growing and expanding and doing more stuff and getting, more guests in the future for both shows. And it's all gonna be great, because we're carrying on. It will be episode 59 next week. I don't know when Pillow Talk came out, Nolan. Was it maybe 1959? Let's hope it was. Let's hope it was, because that means we get another lovely episode number linked to the year of release. And that pleases me greatly. Nolan, that's it from me, and that is it from the beast from 20,000 Fathoms. See us out.
Long live the king.
Was that the scream of Ghidorah?
No, that was Godzilla.
Oh.
Bye, guys.
Bye.